Good morning. Okay, so I think we're ready to get started. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar, Setting Up Your Blackboard course site. Today's webinar is being presented by the Academic Technologies and Innovation Department Instructional Design Team. And before I get started, I'd like to please have all participants complete the participant Google form. I'm going to go ahead and send that link through the chat right now. If you could just take a few seconds to complete that. And while you're doing that, we're going to go ahead and go over just some housekeeping items that we have here. So this webinar is being recorded and it will be posted for you to view later on the CSUSB ATI instructional continuity page. I also ask that you please not put your phone on hold, but instead on mute if you could. When we unmute participants, if you have your phone on hold, we might get some of that background music if you're on a work line. All participants will be placed on listen-only mode during this presentation. Throughout the presentation, however, I'm going to take moments to stop and unmute the line to see if everybody's doing okay, if anybody has any questions, just to make sure everybody's following along and I can help answer any questions to keep you going through the demonstration. I do welcome all questions, so please ask any questions that you have either through the chat or go ahead and unmute yourself and just ask any questions that you'd like into the microphone so that we can all hear you. I'm going to do my best to monitor the chat, but if I happen to miss any questions that you post there, please just unmute your line and feel free to speak up and ask any questions that you might have. Okay, so I'd like to begin by introducing myself. My name is Tracy Medrano, and I am an instructional designer with the Department of Academic Technologies and Innovation at CSUSB. I've been designing online and face-to-face course experiences for about 13 years, and for the past 5 years, I've been working as a certified course reviewer for the Chancellor's Office Quality Assurance Initiative and Course Review Program within the CSU system. And today I'm going to be taking you through today's webinar. I'm going to be demonstrating how you can set up your Blackboard course site very quickly and easily within Blackboard. So today we're going to focus on the navigation panel, and the navigation panel looks like this. So when you first get your Blackboard course, you have a navigation panel. That's just a very basic navigation panel. So it's what you're seeing there on screen. The top half there is the student navigation panel. That's the only part of the navigation panel that the students will see. The bottom half is actually hidden from student view. They do not see that, but you as an instructor will see both the top and the bottom of the navigation panel. So you'll see the student navigation panel and you will also see the instructor's course management panel. The course management panel you'll be using to manage various things within the course, such as your themes, customizing things, your grade center, your users, setting up your tests, your surveys, and a whole bunch of other things that you can manage just on that bottom half of the navigation panel. However, for today's webinar, we're only going to be focusing on setting up your Blackboard course site, which we're talking about the student navigation panel. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a navigation panel that looks somewhat like this. And you can see that there's a big difference. So what you have here are 3 distinct sections. You have a getting started section, a course, my course section, and a technical support section. So the 3 sections here include subheaders, which are like titles for your section that let the viewer or the student know what they can expect in this section here. The dividers help to break up the section, so visually your eyes immediately identify 3 areas, 3 distinct areas, as well as the subheaders help with that. And then you've got descriptive links underneath each subheader. And the descriptive links, again, are extremely helpful because they let the students know what is contained in these links here. So what we're going to do is we're going to build out a navigation panel that looks like this. So we're going to take what you see here on the left, and we're going to turn it into this right here, what you see on the right. So again, we're going to build out your getting started section, and then we're going to build out a my course section, and then we're going to build out your technical support section for your students. So let's go ahead and let's take a closer look in Blackboard. Okay, so here we have that basic navigation panel I was mentioning to you earlier. And what we're going to do to create this navigation panel is we're going to be using the plus sign up here on the top left. So I'm just going to take my cursor off really quick so you can see that it's just right above the navigation panel to the left. And I just placed my cursor over it. So at this point, I'm not clicking, I'm just placing my cursor over it. And a list of options will become available here on this menu. So these are the different things that you can add to your navigation panel. You have a content area, a module page, a blank page, a tool link, a web link, a course link, a subheader, and a divider. So what we're going to be using to build out our navigation panel today is going to be a divider, a subheader, a tool link, and a content area. So 4 things: divider, subheader, tool link, and content area. We're going to start with these 2 here on the bottom, and I'm just going to click on divider. You see that it adds it here at the bottom. Anytime I go to that plus sign and I add something, it's going to always add it to the bottom, and then I need to look for the cross arrows just by placing my cursor to the left of the item I just added. And then once I see those cross arrows just click, hold, drag up, and drop it where I'd like for that to be placed. Okay, so plus sign again, and then divider. And then I'm going to place that right above Blackboard Help. So you can see already the dividers have just quickly created those 3 areas for me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give my 3 sections a subheader. So that will serve the purpose of a title, just so that when students look at this, they know what is contained in these 3 distinct areas here. So I'm going to go to plus sign. I'm going to go to subheader. I'm going to call this getting started. I'm going to click submit. It adds it to the bottom. I'm just going to keep going to save a little bit of time. I'm going to go to plus sign, subheader. I'm going to call this my course, submit. One more time, plus sign, subheader, technical support, submit. So now what I need to do, I need to come down here to the bottom, those 3 subheaders I've added, and I need to move them and place them in the navigation panel the way I'd like. So I'm going to place my cursor to the left, and once I see the arrows, click, hold, drag up, and drop. So I'm going to put that at the very top of my first section. The next one is going to go to the very top of my second section. And the last one is going to go on the top of my 3rd section. So you can see already my navigation panel is starting to take shape just very quickly and easily by using 2 simple things, which were the divider and the subheader function in this plus sign. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to now create descriptive and helpful links underneath each of these sections to help guide my students through this online environment. So I'm going to start with homepage. You can see the homepage here has quite a few modules: announcements, needs attention, what's new, However, this is set as the course entry point. And because it's set as the course entry point, it's really, it can be confusing for students when they go to log into your course and this is the first thing they see. So there's no description of the course, there's no clear direction on how they should get started, what they should do first, second, third. However, the announcement section is very helpful and I don't want to lose this. So what I'm going to do a little bit later is I'm going to add this under the My Course section, which is this section here. But for now, we're going to stay under the Getting Started section and build out our helpful links here. So since this doesn't provide my students with a whole lot of helpful information as a course entry point, I get rid of it. So I delete it, and what I do is I add a home page that is much more helpful for students when they enter the course. So I'm going to go ahead and first start by deleting this home page. So I just place my cursor over home page, and you'll see to the right a bubble with a downward facing arrow will show up. So I just click on that and click delete. And then I'm left with information. So I don't want to get rid of information. I'm going to leave that there. But to the right, I'm going to click on the drop down and I'm going to rename that. And this is going to be called Syllabus and Textbook Information. And I'm just going to click on the green check to save that change. So now I have a very descriptive link. So remember the one, what it said before, the way it read was information, which isn't very helpful for students because information can mean a lot of things. So what I want to do here is I want to make sure that my links are descriptive. Again, that's going to help guide my students to the information that's contained in these sections. So now that I have my syllabus and textbook section, I'm going to go to my plus sign. And for this getting started section, as I build out my navigation under getting started, I'm going to go to plus sign and use content area only. So I'm going to use this quite a bit. So I'm going to go to content area. Welcome Start Here is what I'm going to call this one. Make available to users and click submit. And remember, always adds it to the bottom. So to save a little bit of time, I'm just going to keep adding content areas. So I'm going to go plus sign, content area. Meet, contact your instructor. Make available to users, click submit. Plus sign, content area. University policies and student resources. Make available to users, click submit. And our last one, plus sign, content area. Accessibility and privacy statements, make available to users, click submit. And you see everything I've just added as a content area has been added here at the bottom. So now I'm going to move it up because that's going to be a part of my getting started section. So I'm going to move welcome start here above syllabus because this is going to be what I use in place of the home page, the one that we just deleted a little bit ago. So this is now going to serve as my new entry point. Now, meet, contact your instructor. I'm going to put right below the syllabus, university policies, and then accessibility and privacy statements. And you can see I've already have my getting started section is looking really nice. I have descriptive links, and now what I need to do is add content to these areas. But before I do that, I'm going to continue to build out my navigation panel. So what I like to do is just build out the left-hand navigation panel and then go back and start from the top and work my way down and add the content that I need to fill in these areas with the information. But feel free to do it however you like, whatever's most comfortable for you. For me, I'm going to continue to work on the navigation panel under my course. So for this section, if you recall when I got rid of the home page, I said that the announcements area was really helpful. It's really helpful for students, really helpful for instructors. It's important that students have an area in Blackboard to retrieve information from their instructors and have that instructor presence as well. So I highly recommend that you use the announcements tool in your Blackboard course to send out announcements to the class. It retains a record of that announcement in Blackboard. And then that way your students can always refer back to it. Maybe they forgot something that was mentioned in the announcement, but the information will be there and available for them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to plus sign. And for the My Course section, that middle section, I'm only going to add 2 things. And the 2 things that I add here are going to be tool links. So I'm going to go to tool link. And I'm going to call this one announcements. Next to achievements, I'm going to click on the drop down menu and I'm going to select announcements, make available to users, click submit. And I'm going to go back up to plus sign, go to tool link. And this one, I'm going to call it my grades. And again, right to the right of achievements, I'm going to click on the drop down. I'm going to look for my grades. This is a tool within Blackboard. So what I'm adding is a tool link. And the tool link is a tool within Blackboard. So this drop down menu that you get here is a list of all the tools within Blackboard. So I'm just selecting my grades, make available to users, yes, click submit. Now, again, every time you add something, it adds it to the bottom. So I'm just going to go ahead and move this up because it's part of the My Course section. And then move up my grades. So for my grades, this is also a really nice feature here. I always like to add this. This is just like the announcements. That's a win-win for both the students and the instructor. So is this link. This link is can be a lifesaver here. This allows students a direct link to their My Grades section. So they can keep an eye on their grades, their progress throughout the quarter. And what they can do is, because now they're keeping it, now they have a direct link to keep an eye on their grades, they can reach out to you as an instructor early on in the course if they feel that there are any discrepancies or maybe they just have a question about something. But this is also a nice way for them to keep an eye on their grades and also get the feedback that you're giving them on assignments. So this also helps to minimize the possibility of students coming to you at the end of the quarter once you're finalizing grades, or maybe have already submitted grades requesting a grade change. So I definitely do recommend adding this tool here on the left-hand navigation. If this didn't exist in your course, then students would have to know to go to tools here. And not all students know that they can access their grades to this tool link, because again, this tool link isn't very descriptive. And a student coming in, looking at a link that says tools, they would just have to click on it by chance and notice that the tool link is here. But not a whole lot of students are going to click on this knowing that this is where they would go to check their grades. So I highly recommend adding this here on the left-hand navigation. Okay, now the last thing, moving on, we're going to now finish our navigation panel by completing this last section here, which is the Blackboard Help. Now, this is a nice, helpful link here for students, but I like to, when I'm creating courses, I always like to make this descriptive for students. I think it's super helpful to have a Blackboard Help link here, but I like to go to the right and rename this link to 24/7 technical support. And then the green check to save those changes. And there we go. So we took it from Blackboard Help, which is already helpful, but made it even more descriptive by saying 24/7 technical support. And it truly is 24/7 technical support. And this is extremely helpful for students because in an online environment, they have access to the course 24/7. And so if they're working on the course at 1, 2 in the morning and something happens, it's kind of scary. And sometimes, you know, for students, they feel alone. You know, who do they go to for help at these different hours that, you know, they're accessing the course if they run into a problem? So this is always nice to have. And the last thing I do here, because this link, this course link here, sets to open in the same window. Now what that means is if a student clicks on it, it's going to open within this exact same course site environment. And I don't want that, because if the student closes out of the technical support section, they're going to close out of the entire Blackboard site. And then they'd have to go back and go through the login process and access the course. So to help that from, to minimize the potential of that happening, I like to click on this drop down here to the right and select the option that reads Set Link to Open in a New Window. Now you'll see up here, I only have one tab open. So when I click on it, you'll see another tab open here to the right of that. And that's just what I did when I set the link to open in a new window. So I'm going to click on this. And you'll see that the support that's available truly is 24/7 for students. They've got student support here, as well as some faculty support here. So the link can be used for both the instructor and the students. And there's a phone number and submitting a ticket. I'm gonna go ahead and close this, and you'll notice that when I close this, I am taken right back to the Blackboard site. Okay, perfect. So now we have built out our left-hand navigation panel. So what we want to do now is we want to start adding some content into these different sections. As you can see here on the Welcome Start Here section, which I said would be my entry point in place of the homepage, currently has nothing in it. So it's just a blank canvas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Build Content, select Item. I'm going to give this a name. So welcome to ES 100. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in the text box here, I'm going to fill in my information. And then I'm going to click Submit. So what I added here was a little short section that just welcomes my students, followed by letting them know that this is a fully online class with some Zoom sessions, and then the expectation that it'll require them to log into Blackboard several times throughout the week to participate in discussions, check announcements, complete assignments, and other activities. And then I direct them to the syllabus and textbook information to receive information on topics, activities, and other information. I don't have a course description for this demonstration here, but you would plug in a course description here. And then here I just state the purpose of the course followed by the course learning objectives. So you can see that this in place of that home page is much more helpful for my students as an entry point. This provides them with information about the course. It lets them know the expectation about logging into Blackboard. It directs them on how to access information, textbook information and topics. It also lets them know that the purpose of the course and then the course learning objectives. So my homepage didn't do this for me. So this Welcome Start Here page is a nice entry point for your students because it gives them all this helpful information. Now, the other thing about this Welcome Start Here page is if you think about a student entering your course and this is the first thing they see, there's no clear direction here on how they should proceed through the course. So what we want to do is we want to provide a section that helps to guide our students through the course. So if I enter your course and this is all I see, then I don't know what I should be doing first, second, third, fourth. I may just go straight to content and click on content. Or I may go to the top and work my way down. Or I may start from the bottom and work my way up. So, you know, everybody's different and everybody would have their own way of accessing the information here in the navigation panel. So it's important in an online environment, since the instructor isn't there with the students, to help guide them through this online environment. So I'm going to go to Build Content. I'm going to select Item. I'm going to call this Next Steps. So under the name Next Steps. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in the text box here again. I'm just going to fill in the text and I'm going to click Submit. And so you can see now that my Welcome Start Here page is starting to take shape. So now I've got my welcome information, a little bit of information about the course and the objectives, a little bit of information on expectations, and then I give my students the next steps. So right here, I'm letting them know before they begin their coursework, there are a few items that they need to attend to, which is going to be to read the syllabus, to review the instructor contact information, to review the university policies, and to review all sections under accessibility. And then the last thing would then be to begin their coursework by clicking on content. So you can see that this one small section guides my students over here on the left-hand navigation. You can see syllabus, meet contact your instructor, university policies, accessibility, and then begin your coursework by clicking on content. So I've just guided my students through all the startup information and into the content area to begin their coursework. Okay, perfect. So now let's go ahead and go to syllabus and textbook. When we're here, we want to add our syllabus here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Build Content, Item again, and we're going to say syllabus. And you can add some text here if you'd like. For this demonstration, I'm just going to go to Browse My Computer. And when I go to Browse My Computer, I'm going to look for my syllabus, which is right here. Now, what I do recommend, this is just a helpful tip, when you start to add content to your course and build your course content areas using your PowerPoints, your syllabus, your course schedule, if you have audio files, articles, I recommend getting it all together in a folder to make it easier to map to when you're browsing your computer through Blackboard. That way you have everything in a single location. It'll save you a ton of time. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my syllabus here. I'm going to click Open. And you see that it attached my file here. So then I'm just going to click Submit. And my syllabus has been attached. Now, a really nice feature that Blackboard has is the ability to add a visual of the textbook information, which I really like to use. So I go to Partner Content to the right, and I select Search for Textbook. And here, what I'm going to do under Keywords, I'm going to plug in my ISBN number. I'm going to click on Go, and there's my book. So I'm going to click on Select. And you can provide a description here if you'd like. I'm just going to leave it, and I'm going to click Submit again. And you see it just added my textbook here. So we make it very simple, very easy for students to eliminate any of that students having to dig for information, download a whole bunch of files, scroll through a bunch of pages. So we just make it very easy for them to gain access to the information that they need to get them ready and prepared to enter the course content, which is really the core of the course, which is going to be the section that they spend the majority of their time. So try to make this area as easy as possible for them to get the information that they need to get started. So now university policies and resources. Again, you could go to build content item and then just add any resources that you'd like here. You can also go to build content and go to web link. And when you do this, you would just give it a name. So let's just say it was CSUSB Student Resource Center, or anything, student policies. But you would then get the URL from the website and then paste it here and click Submit. And what that will do is it'll create a nice URL for you here. So let's go ahead and go to a website. We can say CSUSB, just homepage. So I'm going to show you real quick. I'm going to grab the URL up here. I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to switch back over to my Blackboard page. So I copy the link first, and then I come to build content, and I'm going to go to web link. So here I'm going to say CSUSB homepage, and I'm going to paste my URL there. I recommend giving these web links just a sentence or two of a description so that students know what's contained in the web link that you're providing there. And then click Submit. And you see a nice web link has been created. Now, if I click on this, you'll see that the CSUSB homepage will open. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now just to demonstrate. There you go. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. And for accessibility and privacy statement, you just go to build content item. You call it accessibility information for student accessibility information, and then just paste the information in there. Typically it's in your syllabus, or you can go to the CSUSB accessibility webpage and access information there. So that takes care of our getting started section. Now let's go ahead and move into our section here, the middle section, the My Course section. So let's talk a little bit about announcements. I know I mentioned a little bit when we were adding the link as you know that this is a helpful tooling for students and instructors. So this is very nice to create that instructor presence. Like I mentioned earlier, I recommend using this throughout your course and to create an announcement. So you see here, it keeps a record of all your announcements. So to create an announcement, I'm just going to go to create announcement. And here I'm going to give it a subject line just like you would in an email. So please read the syllabus. And welcome students. Please read the syllabus before you get started. And you can see right here that I have a spelling error, so I'm just going to right-click on that and fix that. And there's my message there. So what I do is I leave this by default as far as the duration. No, it's not date restricted, so there's no date restriction here. What this is going to do is it's going to maintain a copy of the announcement in the announcement section. So earlier, when I clicked on announcement, you saw a record of all the announcements that had been posted for the course. So that's what that's going to do. And that's super helpful for students so they can always refer back to some of the information that you've sent out to the class through the announcements. That way, if they overlook something or maybe forgot some of the information that you had sent out, they can go back and reference that. Another thing here is the email announcement. I really like to use this feature, so I check in the box. And what this does is it sends a copy of this announcement immediately to the student's email, their student email account. So one, they'll get a copy of it in the Blackboard site, and then two, they'll get a copy of it that'll go directly to their student email account. Now, if you recall earlier in my message here to students, I let them know that I wanted them to read the syllabus before they got started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a course link. Again, this is like a hyperlink, a link that takes them directly to the syllabus. So I'm going to browse my computer, and a window here, I'm just moving this down, that includes a map or a layout of my course will appear. So you can see these yellow areas here are all the areas on my left-hand navigation that we were just working on creating. So welcome, start here, syllabus, meet, contact your instructor, university policies, and so on. So what I'm going to do is under syllabus and textbook information, I'm just going to click on syllabus here, and I'm going to click submit. So you see a copy of that announcement has been placed here with the link to the syllabus. So if I click on this, it's going to take me straight to the syllabus. So as a student, I can come to the announcement section and I can read the announcements that you've posted, and I can click on this link directly. Or if it comes to my email, I'll click on the link in my student email, I'll log into Blackboard, and then it'll take me directly to the information. So there you go, your syllabus and your textbook information. Perfect. Now under content area here, you've got a couple of options to organize your content. You have a folder that you can use, which basically is just, if you just think about like a manila folder that you open up and all your pages are in there, you could just see everything. So basically it's the same idea here. You would click on the folder, and when you click on the folder, you'll see everything on the screen, on a single screen. So depending on how much content you have for your sections, for example, this is a folder here, and you see everything on screen. If you have a lot of information in a folder, then your students are going to be scrolling quite a bit, and you know, it's just important to make sure that you have it really organized and maintain consistency across your modules, as well as you know, with the titles that you're using here and descriptions. So if you have a lot of information, I would recommend starting every either folder or learning module, whichever you choose, with a nice introduction to the week, and even a small agenda that just lays out the section for your students, letting them know, here's, you know, what you have that you need to work on for the week. So it's view the TED Talks video, view the instructional continuity page, complete the paper 1 assignment, complete the paper 2 assignment, and then take the exam 5. And so even if you have a lot of information here, they see all the things that they need to do for that week and complete. So that is your folder. Now let's go back to content. Now you have a learning module here. So with this learning module, you could also call it weeks. So you could call these folders modules as well, units, weeks, however you'd like to title them, just as long as there's consistency across all of your folders or modules, whichever one that you choose to use. But if I click here for the instructor, because I'm working on building and adding my content, I'm going to see everything on a page here, on one page. But the way that it displays for students is actually one item at a time. So this, if you have a lot of information, is really helpful because it keeps it really nicely organized using a table of contents, if you can see here to the left. And it displays all the information one item at a time. So it reduces, you know, the feeling of it being, you know, overwhelming and too much information and possibly overlooking or missing something. So let me show you what that looks like. And this right here, this button I'm going to show you is really helpful, is to enter student preview mode. So entering student preview mode allows you to look at it from the student view. And that's really helpful because as you're building out your course site, you're going to often have times where you're going to be wondering, what does it look like for the student? How does it display for them on their end? So you can do that by clicking on Enter Student Preview Mode. And you'll get this yellow bar on the top that says Student Preview Mode is on. And remember, this is my entry point, so it automatically takes me to the Welcome Start Here page. But I'm going to go to Content because that's where we had our folders and our learning modules. And so I'm going to click on week 1 folder just so that you can see. I'm going to click on week 2. I think week 2 had a little bit more information. Yep, there we go. So week 2, and you can see it displays everything on a single page. I'm going to go back to content, and I'm going to go to week 1 of the learning module. And now you can see I don't have a whole lot of information listed on a single screen here. I just have the one item, and then I have my table of contents, so I can navigate through my content here, or I can use the controls that are provided here on the right. So if I click next, you'll see my next item, which is the lecture PowerPoint. And then here you'll see the next item, which is the CNN page. So I could click here to launch it. And then you'll see, I'm going to use the table of contents to navigate to this next item. I'm going to click on social media and news, and you'll see that that pops up here. So different views that students get and a different way of displaying and organizing the content. So I'm going to click exit. And I'm just going to click continue, just leave that by default. I'm going to go back to content. So you have those two options, as folder and learning module. Now, if you choose folder, this one up here, where it displays everything on a single page, you're going to go to build content. And it's going to be the first option on the top right. So again, build content, top right, content folder. Now, if you choose a learning module, the one that has a table of contents and displays everything one at a time for your students, you're going to go to build content, and on the left, straight down to the middle, is going to be learning module. So again, build content, straight down, and then learning module. Okay, so one last thing I have for you here is going to be the discussions. This is always a nice thing to have here. It's the Q&A for the class. It really is nice to allow students to post questions that they might have pertaining to the course, and allow other students to be helpful and answer some of those questions. You as the instructor, you can also go in and answer some of those questions that haven't been answered, but it really does help to build that sense of community and to provide that support within your class for all your students. So what you do here, this is just a Q&A forum. So to create a discussion board, whether it's a Q&A forum or it's going to be a graded discussion that you use as an assignment, you go to create forum and you give it a name. And then under description, you're going to put the description here, whether it's the description to an open class forum or it's the description, for example, the prompt for an assignment that you want them to complete. So you put that there. And then you can choose to make it available at a certain time and date restrictions and do all those things here. But the forum settings, these things are going to be quite important to set up. And this is going to basically trigger how the discussion board is displayed in the discussion area, how students interact with it, and also the Grade Center. So here, for viewing the threads and replies, you've got two options. Standard view means that if I go in as a student and I click on the discussion and other classmates have already been posting to the discussion, I can see what they've been posting before I make my initial post. If I click on this one right here, participants must create their first post, which is called a thread. They must create their first post in order to view other students' post in the discussion forum. So before I can look at what other students have posted, I have to post mine first. So it gives you those two options there. And then, again, if this is just a class discussion area, then you don't need the grading. But if it's going to be used as an assignment, you would go to grade discussion forum and then enter the point value here for the entire forum. And then if it's just going to be the initial post that you ask students to do to complete this assignment, then it would just be 1. But if you ask students to post their initial post plus reply to a classmate, then you would put that at 2. And then when they've satisfied this criteria here, you'll see this exclamation in the Grade Center. And when you see this, then that means that it's ready for you to go in and take a look at the post and reply that the student has completed and then assign it a grade. And then the due date. And then click submit. And you can see it added it here to the bottom. And the same thing as the navigation panel, you can drag it up and organize it, move it down. Okay, so are there any questions at this point? Okay, so what I would like to do, it's 10:51. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take you and back to the presentation just to share a little bit of information with you. A really neat event that we have coming up, and I encourage everybody to attend. We offer this event once a year. We've been doing it this is our 4th year offering this event. We usually get a lot of participation from our faculty and staff community. So this is an event that is has been created or developed for our faculty and staff community to support them. And we usually offer this on campus, and it's hosted in the SMSU, in the Student Union Event Center. This year, we didn't want to, we wanted to make sure we still had this event available. And so we just moved it to a virtual event. You'll have, the focus of the event is going to be on this transition from in-person to virtual teaching and learning. So there's going to be a lot of discussion about, what's currently going on and how that transition has, some of the challenges that some faculty have been facing, and then some of the achievements that some faculty have had. You'll hear some different stories. You'll also get to ask questions from our, to our faculty panel. We'll have a student panel discussion. So the student panel is going to be really nice and hopefully very helpful to our faculty attendees, because it's going to provide you with the student perspective, and it's going to basically give you everything, full transparency, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then we're going to have an open forum where faculty can ask our students questions, any questions that they may have. We are going to have opening remarks by President Morales. We'll have keynote speaker, who is Dr. Monty Van Wart, and then our faculty panel, our student panel, and then we're going to have some just-in-time online course design and technology demonstrations. So a couple of those will be how to create video with assessment for your online course. Another one would be how to enhance student engagement using VoiceThread in an online environment. Another one is going to be around everything you need to consider when creating your own video lectures at home to post into your online course. And then we'll have free software download information, and then we're going to have quite a few giveaways throughout the entire session. So this is going to be next week, Tuesday, April 14th from 10 to 2. You'll see information posted and emailed out to faculty in the next couple days, but here's the Zoom link. So the event has a unique Zoom link, and you'll just join using the Zoom link, but I encourage everybody to attend if you can. And then finally, if you have any information or you have any questions or need any information regarding Blackboard or any support, please email us at csusb.edu ITS support. Submit a ticket here. You could also email blackboard@csusb.edu. So if you have any questions or any information to share with us about something that you noticed in Blackboard that may not be working, or you just need some guidance maybe on creating a discussion, your tests, the grade center, any of that, please just feel free to either submit a support ticket or email us. Also, there's a nice resource that we've created and put together for our faculty. It's our instructional continuity page. So you can go to this web link here, or you can just Google, which is much easier. You can Google CSUSB and then followed by ATI. And at the top, the first option that shows up should be the Academic Technologies and Innovation webpage. And there you'll see a button that says Instructional Continuity, and it'll take you to this webpage. So this right here is where you'll find upcoming dates for workshops, a bunch of information as far as communication with students in an online course, assignments, accessibility using Zoom, creating assessments. And this is where we're going to also be, you'll find all the recordings that we have for all the webinars we've been holding throughout the past couple of weeks. So if there are no questions, then I'd like to thank everybody for joining today's webinar. If you have, remember, any questions, please feel free to email blackboard@csusb.edu. Thank you for your time and have a wonderful rest of your day.